Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for Monday, September 1, 2025. And in the news this afternoon, St. Andrew South Police list the persons of interest. The St. Andrew South Police are appealing to several men identified as persons of interest in the York Avenue area to report immediately to the Hunts Bay Criminal Investigations Branch, urging the persons of interest to take the appeal seriously and to comply. The police have asked them to report no later than 6 p.m. on Monday, September 1, 2025. They are Lionel Johnson, also known as Liney, a handyman of 49 Mandela Terrace, Kingston 11, Neville Scully, also known as the Paro of Lot 2 Cedar Valley, Kingston 6, Marlon Johnson, also known as Insane, or Brando, of 18 Sam Sharp Drive of York Avenue, Ricardo Orlando Johnson, also known as Bull, of 31 York Avenue, a man known only as Bang, and a man known only as Slug. The police are reminding the men that failing to report may result in further operations being conducted to locate them. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of these individuals, to include their parents, family members, and their friends, are asked to contact the St. Andrew South CIB at 876-923-7111, Police 119 emergency number, or the nearest police station. The public is assured that all information will be treated with the strictest confidence. MSME Alliance says JLP plan to double minimum wage could lead to job losses. The Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise Alliance is warning that the Jamaica Labour Party's election promise to double the minimum wage could lead to job losses. JLP leader Andrew Holness announced on Sunday night that if re-elected, his government will gradually increase the national minimum wage from $16,000 to $32,000 for a 40-hour week. Speaking at the JLP's final mass rally in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, Andrew Holness said the first increase to $18,500 would take effect in the first budget, with further hikes rolled out in the years ahead.
I think 32,000, that is what, 128,000 per month. That is not something that small businesses will be able to afford. Persons may lose employment because if we're forced to pay them this, we're not going to be able to use them. And so it may mean that we have to lobby with the government, because I don't see this as being feasible. 32,000 is very high. Our business is not growing by 50%. Small businesses are not growing by 50% in revenue in any given year, or even by 15. Some are struggling to even grow by 15%. If you just look at what is happening on the stock exchange, you can get an idea. Even larger businesses are struggling to grow by 15% annually. So I'm not sure how that figure was derived, and I don't see it. I'm foreseeing a big pushback by the MSME sector.
Economist Keenan Faulkner said the Jamaica Labour Party's proposal to double the minimum wage must be supported by productivity gains and measures to control cost of living if it is to have lasting benefits. Mr. Faulkner noted that there is no evidence to suggest that adjustments to the minimum wage have led to higher unemployment and inflation over the period, but he cautioned that sustained increases could put pressure on other wages and the prices unless carefully managed.
This latest adjustment must be coupled with improved productivity gains, as well as measures to keep increases in the cost of living in check, as that may put upward pressure on all other wages and consequently prices, especially since most persons and entities who pay minimum wage are also fellow wage earners, as well as small and medium-sized businesses. Like minimum wage, however, I think this is something that may have to be legislated or enshrined in policy or corporate responsibility frameworks for companies in order to be actualized. Over time, livable wages have been demonstrated to be poverty reducing, and so government, employers, and unions will now have to recommit to establishing a livable wage standard while simultaneously now addressing structural price inefficiencies in the market, which have traditionally militated against the impact of wage increases generally.
Andrew Holness has asserted that the increase in the minimum wage will bolster labor productivity as more Jamaicans will feel motivated to work. The JLP leader said this increase in productivity will generate economic growth, which should benefit the base of the society. Pointing to the Caribbean, Andrew Holness noted that Jamaica's minimum wage is lower than some of its regional counterparts, including Barbados, with a minimum wage of about $33,600, and Trinidad and Tobago at approximately Jamaican $21,000. With Jamaica's minimum wage currently at $16,000, the JLP leader admitted that the country needs to step up.
And I don't want anybody to argue this point, because listen, Barbados' minimum wage is about $33,600 Jamaican dollars. Trinidad is about $21,000. Ours is currently at 16. So we are a little bit behind in the region. We definitely have to step up.
But the People's National Party has responded to the JLP's minimum wage increase announcement, describing it as a clutching at the straws and trying to salvage a dying campaign. Speaking Monday morning at its final press conference before the September 3 general election, the PNP said the minimum wage should not be politicized and suggested the plan was a last-ditch effort to win over voters since it had not previously been mentioned in any of the three political debates.
The Minister of Information, or the former Minister of Information, was also in that debate. She mentioned nothing. But more importantly, Andrew Holness was also at that debate and mentioned nothing about any changes to the minimum wage. As a matter of fact, he was complaining throughout the debate and very unassertive and very ambiguous on any issue of policy he tried to cover.
Golding reiterates the PNP's tax breaker promises. People's National Party President Mark Golding again sought to assure workers in government and the private sector on Sunday night that a PNP administration would grant them billions of dollars in tax breaks to ensure that they take home more than their salaries. Mr. Golding, speaking at a mass meeting in Sam Sharp Square in Montego Bay, St. James, argued that the picture being drawn by the government of low unemployment and low inflation is not resonating with the Jamaicans who are struggling to make ends meet. He added that workers will also enjoy a break on taxes on tips, gratuity, commission, and overtime pay. Mr. Golding reiterated a promise to eliminate the controversial fixed-term contract system, which denies workers their basic benefits.
Because they're talking about poverty rate and they're talking about unemployment rate. But if those rates don't mean anything because people hungry and people not eating properly, that means something must be done. And that is why we're going to increase the income tax threshold to $3.5 million a year. You will pay zero tax on the first $3.5 million of your income. It is going to mean a significant benefit for many people who are struggling now. And for those who earn more, they will get the benefit up to 3.5. So there's something in it for them as well. I want to thank the hotel workers I was reasoning with a few weeks ago here in Montego Bay, who said to me, Marky G, the tax and the tips and the gratuity, it have we away. We need more money in our pocket. We work hard, but we can't make ends meet. I beg you, deal with that for me. I'm going to deal it for you because my sister, you need it. We're going to deal with it for them. We won't be taxing the tips and the security guard and the police and the firemen and any worker who earns overtime pay in this country. If your earnings are under $6 million a year, you will not be taxed on your overtime because we know you need that little break.
Guys, thank you for watching. See you this evening at 6 p.m. for another news update.